Welcome back. If you've been keeping up with the Instagram page for the Budget Gamer channel, you know that now we have new lighting to work with, so you can see 100% of my flaws. Today's review is of a game called Earth Wars, and even though I'd never heard of it and it's pretty new to the eShop, as soon as I saw some of the imagery, I was immediately having flashbacks of Odin Sphere, and I have to say that is a game that I really enjoyed as just a side-scrolling hack and slash. Earth Wars is the type of game that you would not expect for $4.50. Now, while the Japanese voice acting that we're immediately introduced to in the introduction might not be everybody's cup of tea, the subtitles and translations actually are really good and very colloquial, so some of it actually has a good amount of comedy that isn't comedy because of poor translation. Through these opening scenes, we're introduced to the initial game plot, which is as confusing for the player as it's meant to be for the actual characters themselves. Some level of apocalypse is currently happening, where these beasts that are all but unkillable are dominating the planet. The gameplay is set in America, and as you progress through the game, you open up new levels as you take back America from these creatures. After the opening sequence, you're actually allowed to create your own character to play with, picking which gender you'd like to play as well as choosing from a selection of different faces. You can also choose the character's voice type to make gameplay a little more organic, depending on which selection of features you've actually put together to make your own custom character. While gameplay in this side-scrolling hack and slash genre is generally just that, side-scrolling and hack and slash, Earth Wars goes well above and beyond, creating this game into a massive wealth of entertainment. Between scenes, you not only have the continuation of the overarching story, but as characters are introduced, you're introduced to their stories and their struggles with this war at large, seeing their personal struggles as they work with you on your team to take back the world. It's touches like this that actually make this incredible investment for the player, because it develops a realistic and believable scenario in addition to the overarching gameplay's theme. Though the graphics for Earth Wars are absolutely gorgeous, the game doesn't just rely on those. Besides the major overarching story and this kind of graphic novel, almost cinematic unfolding, Earth Wars integrates two other incredible systems. One of them is a system somewhat akin to Monster Hunter, wherein the enemies that you fight in all of these levels and missions do drop loot, and that loot is actually used to develop and power up items and armor for your character. And while that may be simple enough, it goes hand in hand with the other incredible aspect of this game, and that is the fact that because you're not fully human, you're more ex machina, as you level up, you develop skills, and these skills are more on the level of cerebral implants. And between missions, you're actually able to go into a surgeon who can aid you in manipulation and activation of these new skills. Now, kind of like Deus Ex, there actually is an overload, so you can't unlock them all, you have to pick and choose. And the skills and power-ups and upgrades, if well designed, will link hand in hand with the new and custom weapons and armor that you've been developing through the course of the game. So where most games actually stop in character customization at just the visuals, Earth Wars actually has 3 different ways to customize your character, and 2 of which dynamically affect gameplay. And if you think that this is just way too much for a $4.50 game to handle, Earth Wars is not just a linear hack and slash, it actually is full of missions. There are the sequential storyline elements which further the story, but in addition there are other missions that you can choose to take. And in addition to granting you experience points and getting you monster loot, several of these random elective missions might actually unlock new things for you to be able to develop. But above and beyond all of the random missions, there is one other gameplay element that deals with the actual progression of the game. And that is the fact that the developers probably thought that they didn't want someone just farming a powerhouse character from the beginning and dominating the rest of the game with ease. And that's where they introduced the element of the engagement timer. After you run your first main storyline mission quest, the engagement timer is instituted at the top right corner of the screen, and as soon as you finish a storyline engagement, that timer resets to about 20 minutes, meaning that you have about 20 minutes of time cruising through the menus, modifying your character, and running additional missions, which can take between a minute to 5 minutes each. As soon as the engagement counter reaches 0, you will automatically be dumped into the next storyline quest. So if you choose to grind and find special opportunities to innovate, or if you choose to just wait it out, that's on you, and it does inherently affect the game's progression. And depending on who you rescue or what you find, you may never get those items if you don't take those missions later on in the game. But all of that aside, with all of these incredibly technical elements, with all of these dynamics of gameplay, they come across in really fluid ways through every step of the way until you've learned about it. And after the fact, there are menus that detail the monsters that you've fought, the stories, the journals, people you've met. And that brings us to another point. Not only has each character that you run into been given their own background and their own personality to work with and help engross you in the story, each type of monster or creature that you fight actually has fully charted statistics for their intelligence, their speed, their experience level, their armor status, their attack power. meaning that you don't just get slightly more powerful, you really can completely change the way you play the game. If you modify yourself in one way, certain enemies might become really easy, but other ones might actually get much harder, which means you actually have to think. You can't just grind up and chart out levels. And despite all of these levels of intricacy, the gameplay and actual player controls are incredibly simple with a very organic learning curve. Overall, this is just an incredible game that I have never seen anything like it at this price point. Besides the absolutely gorgeous graphics and the massive portfolio of different types of enemies to encounter, the game's environments and music and design, the different ways to actually personalize this character and modify the gameplay to your own personal style, just puts it in a league of its own. If you're a fan of the side-scroller hack-and-slash genre, you're gonna love this game. If you like Ghost in the Shell, Deus Ex Machina, or were a fan of those original Armored Core games for the PS1 and PS2, you're gonna find something about this game that you really enjoy. Well, that's it for the review of Earth Wars. I hope you found it helpful. I really loved this game, and I'm sure that anyone who's a fan of the genre or anything like Odin Sphere would probably really enjoy it too. So feel free to like, show your support, subscribe for more videos, and click that bell notification so that you get updated as soon as these things hit YouTube. I'm trying to move to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule for some more regularity, but I will be putting out at least 3 videos a week regardless. Anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, and as always, thanks for watching.